My name is Echo. I'm a transgender woman living in Los Angeles. And this is my story. Life is hard. It's difficult. It comes at us with unexpected turns and twists. But it's also beautiful and full of love and life. I'm an artist. I'm a student. I'm a performer. And I'm even a witch. I'm me. And I love who I am. And I want to share my story. So come join me. Hello YouTube, thank you so much for coming back to my channel. So this is Echo's Voice. This is episode 4 of Echo's Voice, which is me. I'm Echo, a 30-something-year-old transgender woman living in Los Angeles, and this is kind of just my story. This is the things that I go through as a transgender woman and kind of my thoughts on all things LGBTQIA+. So anyway, today is going to be a really interesting episode because I do have several things I want to discuss with you guys. Number one, my first and foremost thing that I'd like to go through is my first steps in this journey. What I had to do to kind of start my transition, where I had to turn, who I looked towards for advice in regards to where do I start? What do I do to start? I know that there's people out there who struggle with gender dysphoria and what it is to not feel right in your body and you don't know where to turn. That's how I was. So I know there's bound to be other people out there who are like that. So that's number one. Number two, I do want to give you guys an update on my breasts because episode 2 was about my breast augmentation and the bad things that happened with it and the good things that happened with it. So if you haven't checked out episode 2 yet, please go back to that and watch my breast story, what happened there, because I do have an update. And then the third thing is going to be kind of cool because it's a little secret, but I'm going to teach you guys, those of you out there who do either use the breast cutlets or you are trying to give yourself a bigger looking bust without having the surgery. I do have tips and tricks that I want to teach you guys in regards to making yourself have a better bust. A booster bust. Yeah, there we go. Boost your bust up. Wait, never mind, forget that. But at the end of the video, I'm going to teach you guys what I used to do to kind of give myself the illusion of having bigger breasts, even though I didn't. So that's going to be like a super secret surprise at the end. So please stick around. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe to my channel. Like, comment this video. I really appreciate it. It helps it spread the word and get out there. And let's get right into it. Okay, so first things first, gender dysphoria. What is it? I used to call it gender dysmorphia, but it's not dysmorphia, it's dysphoria. So gender dysphoria, what is it? Technically speaking, gender dysphoria is when somebody does not feel comfortable or right in their body that they were born in, their biological body that they were born in. They don't feel like it fits them or that it's where they're supposed to be. So they start to feel this cognitive dissonance in their mind of like, I don't feel right, but this is my body, so I should feel right. And it's just very confusing, and it can be not only depressing, but debilitating. It can cause major depression. It can cause a lot of transgender people to commit suicide. It is one of the higher components in that regard of causing suicide in transgender people is that feeling of gender dysphoria. So it is definitely an important thing to take a look at if you're experiencing it, if you know somebody who may be experiencing it. It's very important to address that issue because if that is the case, it can save somebody's life when they're able to identify what it is that they're feeling, why it is that they're feeling that way, and the steps that you can take to quell those feelings. Now, there are several symptoms that you can kind of see or diagnose it within yourself that signify that you have gender dysphoria. One of them being that you don't feel, there's like several symptoms. One of them is that you don't feel right in your body. Obviously, that's number one. You feel like something's amiss, something's not right. You don't know why it is that you're not connecting with your physical body, your sexual body, because there's 2 sexual traits that you have. Primary sexual trait is number 1, that's down there, that's primary sexual trait. Secondary sexual trait is your breasts, because women develop breasts secondary in life after puberty, men develop pecs. So that's your secondary sex traits. So primary, secondary. So usually gender dysphoria happens after secondary traits start coming in because people feel like, oh no, this isn't right, this doesn't feel right. So that's number one. Another symptom is you don't like what you have down there. So you kind of have a dissonance between what you have down there and not wanting to have it down there. So that is a symptom of gender dysphoria. Another one is wishing that you had somebody else's genital composition, biological composition, pining over. When you pine over somebody else's, like saying, oh, I wish I had that. That's another symptom of having gender dysphoria. So those are some symptoms that you can look at. There's definitely a website that has way more knowledge than I do. I just do my own research. And again, this is all my opinion based on the research that I've done on the subject. So don't take me at face value. Please go do your own research on the subject because it is very important. If you are feeling this gender dysphoria, please don't take it lightly. Go check it out. See what's going on in your mind because you just never know. You never know how you're going to feel the next day. I mean, for me, when I started experiencing it was very young, but I buried it deep down inside. I remember when I was a child, I would look up to my sister who was just 16 months older than me. And I would say to myself, like, God, I wish I was her. Like, oh my God, she's so beautiful. I never thought of that it was something that would be anything, but I would just think to myself, like, I wish I could be her all the time, all the time. And I would watch my mom put on her makeup and my sister put on her makeup, both of them. I have two sisters. And I would watch them put on their makeup thinking, like, I wish I could do that, but I'm a boy. So that was like my first signs of having that feeling of not wanting to be me, not wanting to be male. And then as the years went on, I just buried it away because I was a cisgendered male who had no opportunity to transition like that. And I thought to myself, like, oh, only crazy people transition. Like, I'm not transgender. Only that's for crazy people. That's what the media wants us to think, is that you're crazy if you're transgender. So I always kind of thought that that was not even an option for me, especially, you know, later on in life, because I am 100-something years old. And I thought to myself, okay, so how am I going to transition when I'm already this age? That's not possible. But the truth is that you can transition at any age. Just because there are 13-year-olds, 12-year-olds right now transitioning, and it's like, oh, lucky bitch. Like, she gets to take hormones her whole life and like never go through male puberty. Great. But I can't be jealous about that. I can just start my journey where I am and then go from there, you know? Lucky fucking bitch. I mean, oops. I didn't mean to say that. No bad words on YouTube. No more bad words. I'm sorry. So anyway, the point is that like, you can start your transition at any time. It doesn't matter if it's now, if it was when you were 12, or if it's when you're 50, you know, as long as you feel happy within yourself, that is the most important key aspect of this whole thing, like, is wanting to feel right in yourself and be happy on the outside too. Like, you don't want to live your life being stuffed up and balled up into this thing that you think society wants you to be. Like, that's not fun. That's not what life is meant to be. Regardless of how many of my neighbors hate me because I'm transgender, or how many people stare at me at the mall because they don't like what I am, I just have to deal with it because it makes me happy to be where I'm at right now. And that's all that matters. Those people that stare at me, I don't care. I don't care what they think. I mean, I do, it hurts. It does hurt, but like, at the end of the day, they're not affecting me right now in this moment. Yeah, when I'm out there, they affect me. I feel like weird when people stare at me, but you know what? Move on. Move on. Just keep going, bitch. I mean, I keep saying bad words. I'm so sorry. Just keep going, lady. Just keep going. Anyway, so that's gender dysphoria. Now, another thing about that is you got to find the right reasons to transition, right? For me, and I notice with a lot of trans women, it becomes something sexual. Now, this is something that is definitely pervasive and prevalent in our community, is the sex aspect of transitioning. Because, you know, a lot of men fetishize trans women, and it is a thing. And I want to talk about that because men fetishizing us, some women look at it, some trans women look at it like it's a really bad thing. Some women exploit it and they utilize it for gains because it gives them money, it gives them gifts, it gives them sugar daddies, whatever it gives them, they utilize it for gains. So they capitalize on the fact that these men fetishize us, which again, I don't knock anybody for doing anything that they do, honestly. If you want to exploit that guy because he wants you so badly that he's going to give you $300 to like touch your boobs or whatever, do it. Do what you got to do. I mean, it's not my business to judge anyone, but I will say this is that some trans women that hate these men, oh, I hate fetishizers. I hate fetishizers. Don't fetish me. I respect that 100%. But at the same time, like, somebody's got to love us too, even though it's a fetish, but like, somebody's got to love us. I mean, there are men out there who are perfectly wonderful men that do want to date trans women and that want to date us openly and not keep us a secret. But the ones that fetishize us too, like, I respect all walks of life that come through. Yes, it is annoying to be fetishized, but at the same time, it's like, I don't know. I don't feel like it's such a bad thing. Nor do I feel like it's such a bad thing that they're afraid of what society thinks about us or whatever, what society thinks about them for liking us. Like, it was hard enough for me to transition, right? It was hard enough for me to start that transition. So how am I going to judge somebody who has their own story, their own family that judges them, their own growing up and upbringing that like brings them to where they are today? How am I going to tell them that they can't have me in some capacity because they're still afraid of what society thinks? I was afraid of what society thought about me for years, for my whole life, until I just started my transition 2 years ago. So I can't just sit back and be like, oh, I'm going to judge you for not coming out to your family about liking trans women, because it's their journey too. Like, they have to have their journey to come to terms with what they like in life, and what they can accept as normal or what they can accept as like their happiness. Because at the end of the day, they go home hating themselves or whatever they're feeling because they were with a trans person, and they have to live with that. I don't have to live with it. I'm good. Like, I got mine. Like, we're good. But I don't want to get into that anymore. I do want to talk about my first steps in this journey, though. I believe that there's a huge disconnect between trans women and cross-dressers. I don't understand why, because no, I do. Never mind. Hold on. I do. I understand why there's a disconnect between trans women and cross-dressers, because a lot of cross-dressers will put on a wig and a pair of panties and be like, I'm trans. And it takes much, much more work than that. And so when I don't discriminate against cross-dressers, but I do think that they do parade around as transgender women when they don't really know what it feels like to walk out that door as a woman and having society do what they do to us. That is the one thing that is the difference between the trans people and the cross-dresser community, is that like, you get to put on your panties and your wig and have your fun, but you don't have to walk out that door and deal with what society says about us. You don't have to go to the store and use the bathroom and be worried about getting in trouble for using the bathroom. Like, I can use the bathroom sometimes, but it's still a thing, because if somebody clocks me for being trans and I'm in the women's bathroom, technically I can get in trouble because I'm a male. I was born male. And just because I identify as a trans female does not mean that I can go use the girls' bathroom, which I hate. I hate that topic. I mean, I hate the fact that like, I cannot go to the store and use the bathroom unless it's gender neutral. And if it's not gender neutral, then I have to go to the men's bathroom. Like, no, I'm not going in there. Like, I'm just going to hold I'm going to hold it until I can get somewhere safe where I can. And that sucks. It really does. That, that's still a thing. So just so you guys know who are out there who think like, oh, why can't trans people, blah, blah. You know what? It's still a big uphill battle for us right now. That being one of the primary things. I mean, when you go for an interview for a job, and that job does not have a gender neutral bathroom, they only have male and female bathrooms, guess what? They're probably not going to want the liability of having a transgender woman working there, because they don't want to have to deal with that if they don't have a gender neutral bathroom. So does that make sense? Does that make sense that it's like harder for us to go and get a real job? Like, I hate when people think like, oh, they can just get a job. Like, they're people too. Like, it's harder than that for us. Just FYI. There's a lot more involved. There's a lot more liability for that, especially that reason, the bathroom reason. But okay, so that being said, I'm going off on all these tangents, which I don't mind. This is my thoughts on this whole thing, but I'm trying to stay focused here. So my first steps in the journey. The crossdresser, yes, yes. Okay, so I had to start my journey as a crossdresser, obviously. I was a man, and I said to myself, okay, I want to try this. I want to try this. And I did. And I went on to YouTube and I like saw like hours and hours of videos. I did the makeup, I did the thing, I put the clothes on, I got a wig, and I did the thing and I loved it. And I loved feeling that ultimate feeling of femininity. And it was something that I was always missing. I was always missing that in my life. And I knew at that moment when I experienced it, like this was it. Like this was what I had been missing. This was the piece that I had never known that was missing, that now I feel, that makes me feel so much better and whole. Like I remember that feeling, and that's what I was kind of after my whole life, and I never realized it. So I there wasn't a lot of places for me to turn. I didn't know any trans women. I didn't know anybody who transitioned, none of that. And then I was in school. I was a freshman in college just now. Like I'm old, but like I went back to school for my degree. And there was a girl there. Her name, we'll call her V, and she was in my class. And I've known her for a year now because we're almost sophomores. And she tells me she's transgender, and I'm like, what? Like I was shocked. I was shocked that she was transgender, and it kind of made me respect her and love her so much more. But she then was able to help me with my thought process in this transition. I mean, a big part of it being when I started hormones, I started gaining weight. And I told her I was like really getting depressed about it. I was unhappy, and she was like, "Girl," she was like, "You're not a skinny little gay boy anymore. You're a woman. It's okay to have curves. It's okay to be round. You don't have to be this skinny little gay boy." Because I remember it when I was a gay male, like all I wanted was to be skinny and fit and all this stuff. And when I started gaining the weight from the hormones, I was like, oh no, I'm fat. But she reminded me that women do have curves. Women are not perfect beings. They're not like this perfect bombshell thing. That's like they are curvy, and they have beautiful hips and beautiful thick thighs and voluptuous breasts and everything. Like, and I was developing these things, and it kind of, at first I didn't like it, but then she helped me to learn to embrace it. So it was really important for her to be in my life at that moment, because she helped me to realize that like I am transitioning into a woman and I'm not a man anymore. Um, so I would suggest, if you are wanting to transition, to try to find somebody who's able to give you guidance, give you some kind of push forward when you're feeling down about yourself, like some kind of like, hey, it's okay, like don't worry, you're good, and your body's perfect the way it is. Like you don't need to have those feelings of self-doubt and hatred that you've always had, because you're changing into something that you've always wanted to be. So that was that process of like the first steps is the makeup, the wig, the transitioning from crossdresser into a trans woman. So I know I'm all over the place. I'm so sorry, but let's stay on track. I get emotional about these things too, by the way, because it's like it's a journey. It's a journey, and it's a hard one. It's a hard journey to do this. I respect anybody who does, and if you're out there struggling with that feeling of like, should I not? For me, it's like it made me so much happier, like so much happier just to be who I felt inside. The person that I wanted to be inside was like always in there. I just had to find her and bring her out. And so if that's you out there, like just do it. Go for it. And I wish I had somebody to tell me that a while back. Pause. But my family now is really supportive. I didn't think that was going to be that way. But they are. And it's really nice. It's really nice to have family that loves you. And I'm sorry if you don't. But family is not just blood, by the way. Family can be friends. It can be anyone you choose. So just know if your family doesn't love you because of who you are or who you want to be, there are people out there who will love you. And I can definitely be one of them. Because I support my brothers and sisters out there. I support you to do what you want to do to be happy. Okay, I'm gonna pause. All right, I'm sorry about that. I only paused for a second, but still, I'm sorry. I did not mean to get that emotional about that stuff, but it's hormones. I'm on hormones, and they definitely have an effect on your emotional well-being. I do cry a lot. It's kind of funny. Anyway, let's get into another topic. My breasts. Okay, so I wanted to give you guys an update on my breasts because it was something that almost killed me not too long ago, and now I'm okay. So if you didn't watch episode 2, please go back and watch episode 2. I explain everything that happened with my breast surgery. But just to sum it all up for you guys, I had the breast augmentation. A few weeks later, my left breast actually, from either the doctor or from the manufacturer, one of the two, I got staph infection inside my body on the breast. So it was internal staph infection. It coursed through my body, it shut down my organs, and I almost died. So long story short, he had to take it out, put it back in, and I was healing from it. Not really sure if I got to keep them because he was like, if you can't fight this infection on your own, you have to remove them. I'm sorry. But luckily for me, I was able to fight the infection, and it was really, really hard. It was a really hard battle to overcome that staph infection and the infection that whoever gave to me. And I'm still kind of fighting it. I can feel sometimes that my body's like just not there, and it's already been like 14 weeks. It should only take 6 weeks to heal breast surgery. And I'm on week 14, and I'm still feeling a little bit of weirdness. But it's feeling good. It feels good, and that is the update that I wanted to give you guys. Is that everything is great with that. It was a hard journey. It happens to 30% of the women who get breast augmentation. They do receive some kind of infection because of it, because it's a really, really, really hard surgery on your body. It is not easy. When people tell you it's an easy surgery on your body, don't listen to them because it is hard. Your body does not like it. Your body doesn't like to feel trauma like that and then have this huge implant put inside of it. It's not natural for your body. So obviously your body's going to say like, no, hold on, wait, like you're effing with me. So just know it is a hard decision. It is a hard surgery, but once it's healed, like I am so happy. Like I'm so happy with my body right now that it's insane. It's insane how it made me feel when the doctor said like you get to keep your breasts. And yeah, that was like 3 weeks ago he said that to me. And it was definitely a day that I was just like, because I'd gone almost 10 weeks without knowing if I get to keep them and having to go through that pain twice because I had the first surgery, then the second surgery. I'm like, oh my God, this is too much. It's too much for me to handle right now. And for me to have to think to myself, I can't fight this infection and I have to have a third, that was like so overwhelming. So that is just my update on my breasts. Now, let's go into the third thing about this video because I don't want this video to be too long, but I wanted to give you guys like this tidbit of information on breasts, on how I used to give myself the illusion of breasts without actually having them. When I started my hormones, yes, I developed some small breast tissue, but it wasn't huge. So let's get into what I used to do. Okay, so what I used to do was drum roll please. Oops, I should have probably had it ready. I used to use contour. I would contour my breasts to make them look larger, to make them look like they existed. So I'm going to do it for you guys right now so you guys can see what exactly I did to contour my breasts. So, and this works for anybody, even if you have nothing there, if you have something there, whatever the case is, it works for everyone. Trust me. So usually I have a, what's it called? Here we go. A beauty blender. So what you need to do this is a contour stick or a contour palette, whatever the case is. I prefer to use the creamy kind, meaning It is like a cream. It is not a powder. But there are contours that are powders that also work as well. I just found like when I use the powder contour, it would kind of like fall off faster. Let me show you what a powder contour looks like. So a powder contour would just fall off faster. It wouldn't stay as long. And so, that's like, a contour powder. So that would be the difference. This is a contour stick, contour powder, but then I'll use both. So basically, let's go through this, huh? So if you get your contour stick, you can get any of these at CVS, Walmart, any store. You can go to Sephora and get something more expensive. But what I used to do is before I had breasts, I would take whatever I had, whatever meat I had, and I would push it in, and I would push it. Let me take this away real quick. So I'd push it in, and I would see that line that like kind of came naturally, and I would draw that line in with the contour stick. And then I would kind of have like this like rounded area there. That's a little bit extreme because of my already existing breast, but let's do that on this side. And then I would have kind of this like double line. Yeah, that one was too extreme. Oops. You can get rid of it though, which is good about the cream kind because like you can just easily get rid of them. But so you have to contour both the top. So watch, let's just fill this out. So your contour, because women's breasts, it causes a shadow. And the shadow goes from up here to down here. So you have to contour up here anyway. So you're going to contour. And then you're just going to contour around the breast. Just around the breast. But you have to do it up here too. So it kind of looks like the shadow's going down. Now I didn't realize how big my breast was. So I put it a little bit too close on that one. But let's just do this again. Oh, so once the cream is in there, that's the cream contour. I'm going to use the powder, and you'll see I'm going to outline the powder so it makes it just like a deeper shadow. So this should be like a white area. I put too much contour up there, but this should be white, and this should be white, or whatever color your skin is. So what you're going to do is you're going to contour that, blend it in, make sure it's all blended. You don't want too thick of a shadow. And then you're going to take your powder. So I did the contour cream. Now I'm going to do the powder. And I'm just going to deepen that line a little bit. Ever so slightly to give myself that illusion of that breast being kind of just bigger and like more shadowy. So I'm going to do that. Take this again and just make sure it's all blended because you don't want to have like these gross thick lines showing that like you put makeup on your boobs. And then that gives the illusion of having bigger breasts without actually having them. And so when I was before my breast surgery, I would do this all the time. Now, if you want to get real crazy with it, if you're going to get real serious with this, I would also take a, where is it? Okay, I would take a concealer. This is a concealer from Jeffree Star. But I'll take a concealer and I'll put white there, and white in the middle. And where's that blender again? Blender. And then I would just put the whiteness. So it's just any concealer in a light shade. Because the light shade kind of gives it that pop of like, oh, there's a big boob right there. I don't know if you guys can see that or not, but I definitely can. And then the whiteness in between kind of makes that shadow that you created a little bit more prominent as well. So then you see that like I created this illusion of having this breast tissue, even though it's not necessarily there. I mean, back in the day. Which, if you're wearing a dress or you're wanting to go out to the club or something, and you see how this one kind of looks a little bit more natural because I started that shadow all the way up here going down. This one I kind of curved over a little bit, so I would want to like push that up a little bit. See if I can push that up. Just to make the shadow go up, like I was saying, up here. Because your breast tissue or chest muscles attaches to this muscle up here, so you want it to kind of just come up from there. But anyway, so that's how I would do that. And then if I wanted to get real crazy, like let's get real crazy, I would take what's it called? this thing. This is, there's a highlighter in here. Actually, let's use this highlighter. I have a better one. I have a highlighter from Anastasia of Beverly Hills. And this highlighter would, I mean, obviously you can tell I use the crap out of it. So I would take one of these highlights, let's use this yellow one, and just go like this, and highlight the breast. Make it have like a nice glow and shimmer, and that really kind of tied everything together when it came to wearing a dress like this, or whatever the case is, whatever you want to wear that's going to show off your cleavage. And that's kind of that. That's my secret on what I used to do back before I had breasts, was I would do that. You know, again, you push in, you contour, push in, you contour, and you blend it all out. You can use a cream, you can use a powder, and then you set it with a highlighter. Now, this is a setting spray. Again, you don't have to do any of this stuff, but I would use a setting spray to kind of keep it all there so it stays all night long. You know what I mean? Through the longest gangbangs and stuff. Kidding, I didn't do gangbangs. But it would last a very long time if you spray it with setting spray. You don't have to do that. It's up to you. It's up to you how long you want it to last, but just know that it will wipe off. It will wipe off on white clothes, so you don't want to wear white clothes. And yeah, that's kind of that. And see, now you can see that they look bigger. I was like, whoa. Even so, if you have breasts, small ones, if you don't have breasts and you want to like just contour it, use this tips and tricks. It works every time. I would highly suggest the setting spray at the end to keep it for a longer lasting time. And that's all I have for today. So that's pretty much it. Let me change this real quick. So that is it for today, guys. I know we went through a lot today. We went through my early steps, my transition. We went through just different topics. I kept on going off on random tangents, so I apologize about that. But just know, you guys, I wanted to give you guys some value today with the tips and tricks for my breast contouring, and I hope that you guys find some kind of positive message or value in my videos. I really appreciate you coming back to my channel. I appreciate you leaving likes, comments, anything you can to help me boost my channel. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers on my YouTube so that I can start to monetize this a little bit. And you need 1,000 subscribers, which is hard to get, it seems. It's really hard to break into this YouTube scene, but at the same time, I love spreading my message. I love telling people about us transgender women, and we're real. We're real people. We're not just fake people. We're honest and loving, and we deserve to be treated like normal people. And I think that me putting my story out there kind of allows people to see that too, and kind of de-demonizes what we are, because we're just like you or anybody else. We have emotions, we have feelings. And if you please comment, like, subscribe, share this video, it really helps boost the algorithm and get me past this like YouTube block of like not letting me go out to the masses, it seems like. So you're not just helping me, you're helping other people who might need to hear my message too, or who could benefit from hearing what I have to say. So thank you guys so much. If you have any questions or anything, please ask in the comments. I would love to address them. If you have any topics you'd like me to cover too, I would love to be able to cover any topics that you guys find relevant in regards to the LGBTQIA, plus community. I'll give you my input. I'll give you anything that I have known or knowledge about, and I would love to share that with you too. So thank you guys so much for coming back. Have a wonderful weekend.